Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollow Weekly. Nick and George here with 2018, the year of strangely bad hot takes.
Indeed.
Very, very weird.
The year of terrible takes.
Which is weird, because normally there's usually there's years where they have really weird articles about horror films, but this year just feels like it was getting a beating.
Yep.
For no reason, considering what we've gotten this year. Well, there's two articles in question. Should we list which ones?
Yes. Let's start. We'll do one at a time.
Okay, one at a time.
Let's introduce everyone to the horror experts at Vogue magazine.
One-stop shop. I want my fashion. I want my horror reviews.
Yes.
Bing, a bang, a boom. Vogue's always been there for me.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
They're good. They're good stuff. So the first one, let me pull it up here. I got all the notes right here. Let's see here. Oh yeah, there's. It's so funny as I'm trying to look for the right
terrible article.
The right terrible article, because he wrote so many about horror films that he liked. I'm having a hard time finding the article about all the films
the one that he didn't
he forgot about.
Great, that's it.
All right, there we go. So this article from Taylor Antrim. Is that how you say it, Antrim? Wasn't this supposed to be the golden age of horror?
Question mark.
With the still photo from Halloween of Michael's arm going through the door after Lori.
And the first sentence of this article, people, is remember when horror was good?
Seems like it was 70 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I mean, it's not like we're a bunch of old timers.
So right, but let's set the groundwork here, because I don't want anyone to make the mistake that we are not in the business of giving Vogue or their clickbaity crappy article more publicity.
This one, I'm sure they have great fashion articles.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
I'm not going to throw all of Vogue under like he did all horror.
That's fine. They definitely.
But this one was pretty clickbait. This one was pretty clickbait. We'll admit.
So we don't recommend you go read the article. We did that for you. That we're absorbing the pain for you. So we will break down what was bad about it. But the entire reason that we're doing this is because, so I don't know if you've ever come across the phrase canary in a coal mine.
Yes.
But the idea of the canary in the coal mine is they're more sensitive than humans in the coal mine. So when the gas leaks, the canaries will drop dead and the humans can run, right?
Yeah.
So horror is in a renaissance, right? It's a great place between horror TV, horror music, horror video games, horror movies, horror literature, for God's sakes. We are in
a lot going on.
We are in a really, really good period for horror. And what happens when you hit an era of prosperity, think of it like the gold rush.
Yeah.
You go to the gold rush and you're digging in the sand, you're in San Francisco, you're having a good time, and then everyone hears about it and they all come and everything goes to shit.
Yeah.
Right? So what's going to start happening is there's going to be more and more terrible takes. So we're going to call them out now and try to ward off as much as we can.
Contain the fire.
Right, exactly. Contain the fire, because it's just going to get worse from here.
Because we got a lot riding in next year. We got the new Twilight Zone. We got a lot of.
And the new Candyman just got announced, which is going to be badass.
I am excited for that one. But yeah, we're gonna try to contain this fire so it doesn't spread and fuck up.
Right, exactly. So let's put out this fire one at a time. So there's a really dumb brush fire coming out of Vogue, and it's this article, right?
Yeah.
So the argument of this article is basically what?
Basically, 2017 was so good, and everything this year was garbage.
Good.
Essentially.
Good argument.
That's essentially what it boils down to. Well, no. Actually, to be fair,
there is less of an argument that you're giving her credit for.
To be fair, it's more of 2017 was so great. 2018 had a lot of classics, but I hate it because of 3 of the films.
Right. That was right.
That's it.
So the crux of this article is basically this. The crux is that horror movies were fantastic in 2017. We had it
was a renaissance.
We had the triple punch of Get Out, It, and Split. This is according to Taylor Antrim.
Everyone that year got 8 hours of sleep. It was a good year all around.
From Vogue.
Yeah.
And then we had auteur masterpieces like Raw, It Comes at Night, Thelma, and Super Dark Times. And then 2018 has really dropped the ball by giving us pitiful projects like Hereditary, Quiet Place, garbage, things like that. And then literally, and this is a line from the article, right? Literally, when it grudgingly admitting about 2018, okay, this is a quote. Okay, there's Hereditary in June. There was A Quiet Place, which was a fun 90 minutes at the multiplex, but really
nowhere else.
No, but really a PG-13 thriller, not a horror flick. And then what else? Did you subject yourself to Winchester, The Nun, Slenderman? We didn't even get a decent shark movie this year.
I can't think of one shark movie that came out that made a lot of money overseas.
So this is the argument of the article. And the reason that this pissed me off, because I know Nick has a ton of reasons why I pissed him off, but there's several reasons why this pissed me off. So one reason that pissed me off is you can tell when someone's reaching to cause clickbait nonsense.
Yeah.
When they just randomly select names without any thought of what they were doing, right? So Quiet Place is a thriller, but the reason 2017 was so great was Get Out, which is absolutely not a thriller. That's horror. That's straight on horror. Unlike Quiet Place with its monsters and alien creatures and teeth and nails and feet. That's a thriller.
That's a thriller.
PG-13 thriller.
Right next to Rear Window.
But Get Out is just the goriest horror, like no thriller elements.
How he's categorizing these horror films doesn't make sense.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that was irritating. And then the other thing that irritated me mainly about this was sure, we got Hereditary and Quiet Place, but then nothing else good. And to show you there was nothing else good, let's name drop Winchester, The Nun, and Slenderman, right? And
you can pull the worst three out of everything.
Right, and while you're doing that, you're not mentioning Mandy, Terrified, Annihilation, The Ritual, Pyewacket,
Revenge.
We could go on, right? So like it's just this random selection of shit to make a point. So that's primarily what irritated me. What irritated you?
I mean, to me, it was just there was nothing. This article wasn't really saying nothing.
No.
That's what to me, like, and it didn't piss me off. Like the article didn't hit me that much. It confused me more than it pissed me off. Because here's the thing: because this same gentleman writes for Vogue did an article that you showed me just before recording about why he's a horror fan, and he mentions Nightmare on Elm Street and The Exorcist and a bunch of films.
Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, Blair Witch Project. So you know this guy's a horror fan.
He also, by the way, mentions how much he loved Lights Out.
Yeah. But if you
I don't
love
think you
the
can
genre,
come at us as a Lights Out fanboy and then have a whole bunch of nitpicky problems with Halloween, since Lights Out is a worse movie than Halloween. But that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, but to me, like this article just wasn't saying nothing for horror fans or for the public. Like,
right,
there's some films you didn't like this year, but there's a lot that you wrote about that you did love in 2018, but you didn't mention in this list. So it's just really confusing.
Yes.
I thought, I don't know.
Well, and you have found other articles where this person really supported movies that he randomly forgot about in his 2018 takedown, right? So like he wrote positively about the movie Revenge. As a matter of fact, wait, it's in the article, right? Let me find it because it's actually in the article itself. Mm-hmm. So in the article itself, it says Halloween is a ploddingly retro slasher film that's cynically woke in its vision of female empowerment via revenge. Please check out the French flick Revenge if you want to see something really intelligent and provocative on that subject. Well, let me get my VHS tape out because Revenge came out in what terrible year did that movie come out?
I think it was. It's wide released for when most people saw it and was released.
Yeah.
Not saying that the what was it?
Festival release.
Not doing the festival run.
Right.
I believe I was listening to my Mortal Kombat cassette tape 2018.
2018.
I think it was 2018.
I think it was 2018. So 2018 sucked because it had poor movies on the female revenge topic like Halloween, unlike the amazing year 2018 with the movie Revenge.
Terrible.
Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
In your own article, that doesn't even make sense. So that's kind of annoying.
Well, then there's the one line that we saw Bloody Disgusting hit on. Well, it's not hard to hit on because it's not even really a easy point to knock out of the park, but we didn't even get a decent shark movie this year. I'm going to pass out.
Well, so that means the only good years of horror were 75.
Whatever year The Shallows came out in Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
47 meters down.
Guys, as horror
He gave
fans,
a pass to Lake Placid.
Okay, so as horror fans, guys, I just we want you, because we don't want you to get called out at parties or in front of your friends as not knowledgeable in terms of horror. So take Taylor Antrim's advice, and next time you're in a horror argument, let people know that there were only 3 good years of horror.
There were only 3
in the history, because all the rest failed to provide good shark movies.
That 70s era of like giant rabbits and bees and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
animals. Nope.
Thanks.
Nope.
And then there's the very odd attack on Haunting of Hill House.
That was weird.
I had trouble following, to be honest, because the Haunting of Hill House attack was basically, so according to the esteemed Taylor, horror.
Grateful Ye.
Yes, horror requires intensity, and you can't have intensity over a 10-hour production like Netflix does with Haunting of Hill House.
Well, you can, but what you have to do is it has to be like, you have to be the Flash. You have to be Barry Allen. You have to be boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, hitting all your points, scaring the shit out of them, getting all your creatures in there, getting all your blood, getting all your gore, having fun. Having fun.
Sure, absolutely. Having fun.
You know, you don't want to ex-nay that.
Right.
It can be done, but just not the way Mike Flanagan perfectly executed. I mean, that was terrible.
I'm
sorry. I'm sorry. It was so bad.
That was absolutely.
It was so bad. I ate up all 10 episodes.
Because you know what makes intensity really special? The amateurs, the people like Hitchcock, dumbasses. What they do is they like to put in really quiet moments and then like some character drama to make you to worry about the characters and care what happens to them.
Yeah.
And then they hit you with a really intense moment. Right. So like there's watching Norman Bates make beds in the hotel and straighten up and eat peanuts. So, yeah. Because, well, Hitchcock's a hack. But you do all that dumb shit. Right. And then when you break in and you kill someone in the shower, that moment of intensity, by the theory, is made more intense by the fact that it's surrounded by quiet moments. Dumbasses. Taylor's right. The way you do it is if Netflix gives you 10 hours of TV time, you make all 10 hours intense, obviously.
Duh.
Right?
I don't want breathing room.
No, that's totally
I don't want breathing
right.
room, especially for the vibe and the feeling that he was going for in that project.
Yeah, clearly an expert at.
But no, the part that bugged me about that part is what did he say here? When he's calling out the creatures, he goes, "Here it is." But the scares are here. Like, this is it. Oh, this is as much as a 6 Feet Under style drama about the fault lines in a family as it is a spook show about a haunted house. But the scares are here. Grotesquely tall floating down a hall, a crone with a snap neck, a pale, open-mouthed creature in the basement. The trouble is Netflix. Like, why are you throwing those moments under the bus? Like that moment when the kid went down, like, what was it, the dumbwaiter, and it couldn't get back up, and he saw the creature. That, for me, not to the golden god that wrote this article, was fucking terrifying because it was two kids in a situation that's absolutely horrifying.
Yes.
And I don't know, like maybe they just should have taken that scene and whatever editing program they were using and stretched it out to an hour. Maybe that.
Or looped it.
Just
10 hours, just keep watching it.
Just 10 hours, that kid with the creature coming at him.
So yeah, that makes it a mess. And then I love at the end of the article how it name drops. I talked to Karen Kusama, the director of The Invitation, and she told me that horror is about confronting your fears in a space where you can control your fears, right? So then it goes control. Wouldn't that be a nice feeling to have right now? Because yes, that general operating principle of how horror movies work only worked in 2017.
Yeah, the control the kids had when they decided to go to the house and face the monsters themselves.
Right. So, like, for example, in Hereditary, right? There's nothing in Hereditary about having to have trauma in your childhood and then learning how to control your emotions about your trauma. Nothing. There's none of that. And then in Quiet Place, when the world goes a bad way and you're trying to recreate your personal space, the things that mean things to you, the little songs you hear through like your earbuds, and raising your kids and teaching them lessons and those little things, those little measures of control you have when the whole world is going crazy, that's not in that movie.
Yeah.
No, control was only a motif in 2017. Because, right?
He gave the weirdest small shout out to The Terror, though. It was like, I applauded The Terror. AMC is this spring for actually bringing chills to episodic TV, not easy thing to do. Channel Zero? I know I haven't gotten around to it, but like, if you're gonna go over here and take on 2018, like you should.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it was weird, but so I went through and I was like, what else has this cat wrote about horror? And he talks about, what was the last line? He raved about Hereditary, interviewed Toni Collette herself. He even wrote an article about Revenge this year.
Yes.
but in his big 2018 roundup, just forgot about it.
Yes.
Maybe maybe he saw it in the festival circuit. So maybe in his head he is, but he still wrote the article in 2018.
Yes.
So that's a little weird. This film that I didn't even know about, you told me about last live. He even wrote an article on, which was Ghost Stories, which was the anthology film.
The British anthology.
Yeah, the British anthology film.
Yep.
He raved about that because he's a fan, because he is a horror fan. He mentioned it's Creep Show and this and a lot of other stuff. So he does watch horror.
Yes.
But why didn't you mention this in your 2018 article?
Because that wouldn't have supported his dumb argument.
Yeah. So, but like you can't do that, man.
It's
Like,
dishonest.
It's
absolutely
super,
dishonest.
It's super dishonest, and like for someone who loves the genre and that piece you wrote about, fucking act like it, dude.
I'm not sure he loves the genre, but
No, I truly think I
need him to convince me he loves the genre. Here's what I think. What I think is, I think that he loves the kind of movies he loves in the genre.
yeah.
I'm not sure he loves the genre. If he loved the genre, I feel like he would be able to bring up a couple more 2018 movies to take down rather than Winchester the Nun and like
Well,
right?
I have a few more links here. So the other one he mentioned was Annihilation.
Yes.
And in his closing line is, I can't wait to see this again. Again, this was a 2018 release.
Yes.
No mention of it in your article. And then I think the last one here was
Oh, that's my favorite.
Here's the title. Here's the title of the article. With Hold the Dark, Netflix's original movies are finally getting interesting. And he talks about how this is a horror film and how much he loves it. But and I know you didn't like the film
On Netflix.
on Netflix, so you didn't.
No,
like...
I actually liked the film. I actually thought the film was seriously flawed, though.
Okay, but you didn't hate the film.
No.
But this guy liked it, and he didn't mention it again in his 2018 release or article.
Right. So here's the thing, Taylor. We're gonna speak to you directly because we're gonna move on because I can't stomach more of your dumb article. But we're gonna speak here. We're gonna give you a chance. We're gonna speak to you directly. I'm worried about you. I feel like you suffer from amnesia. I feel like that you watched a lot of movies in 2018 and then something happened, you forgot about all
that happens. Did Battle of the Sexes come out this year?
Yes.
I could. If you put a gun to my head, I would have been like 50-50 this year or last year.
Yeah. So we're concerned for you, Taylor. So come on the show, explain yourself. We have an open invitation for you to join the podcast.
I would just like to talk to him about horror because I do in my heart. I believe he is a fan of horror.
That's fine.
I think he does. I think maybe like an article that comes up and there's a deadline or something like that's my hope is that this is a deadline. And if it's true, you have a voice on Vogue, and you can get a lot of other people who maybe aren't familiar with the genre to come over and start. Because here's the thing: if you write for Vogue and you have an audience who's not accustomed to,
you have a normie audience, basically,
a different audience.
Yes.
This is an opportunity to have those people help support horror and those artists, and to I don't know, pump more money into this field so that we can continue to get the films that you did enjoy that you didn't mention in your that you didn't mention in this article. Right. So I think there is like a positive call to action. I think that would be
and you bring up a really good point because think about it like this. Think about you're someone who, I don't know why you would ever do this, but think about if you're someone who does a little internet research, right? And you're like, I'm going to figure things out, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to waste my time and money or not waste my time and money watching, right? Mm-hmm. So then you read the Vogue article. So let's say you buy it, right? Let's say that you've read Taylor's very thoughtful articles in the past, and you're like, I trust this guy. And then he goes, 2018 was a terrible year for horror. The only good movies in 2018 in horror were Hereditary and Quiet Place, which wasn't even really horror. And there's nothing else. That's literally what his article says.
Yeah.
Right. So then you go to your thing to rent, which, by the way, when you're renting money or buying movies to stream them, some of that money, not enough, but some of that money is going to the creators of those movies, right? That's how they make decisions how to make future movies, right? And then up comes Terrified, right? A fantastic Shudder original horror movie, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at it and you go, you know what? That Taylor guy, I trust him, and he said there were no other good horror movies this year, so why would I buy that? Right?
Yeah.
Why would I buy that? Because there's no other good horror movies.
The name you trust.
Right. He's basically guiding people to ignore most of the other great horror movies that came out in 2018 with his dumb article. All right. So
it's just mind-boggling that the stuff he really did rave about in his other articles just had no mention. I mean, because the only one really was The Terror, and that was it. So I don't know. I feel like, Taylor, you got room to do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
Yeah.
Come on the show.
Come on the show, and let's talk about how much we love horror, and we can have a great discussion about that.
Right. We won't be hostile. Well, Nick definitely will not be hostile.
Well, no one's going to be hostile because nothing good comes from hostility.
That's true.
Nothing good unless it's a horror film.
That's true.
There you go.
So that's terrible take number one, but there are other terrible takes.
One more
on the horizon
that we had
to come. Yes.
Here, let me bring the articles over here. That one. So this person wrote 2 articles. One was in 2016. But,
that's right.
But it only supported
right.
our argument.
It only made it worse.
So this one was from Ann Bilson from The Guardian.
Which is English.
And we have a theory. We have a theory that she didn't write this headline, which is what I hope is true.
I'm 1,000% sure she did not write that.
Okay, so that's different because this article we feel a little differently about. Like this isn't as clear cut as like the Vogue one, right? So this is stop the horror snobbery. I just want my jump scares back. And this article is we almost talked.
And that's a recent article. That's 22nd of November.
22nd of November.
Okay.
Yeah, 11 p.m. Eastern to be exact.
To be precise.
No, but this one is sort of like a snake eating itself. Is how we describe it. It goes. Okay, let's hit a few.
This article literally says nothing. There's a lot of words, but it doesn't say anything.
Yeah, this one was just really strange.
Here, I can do a synopsis of this because I read this.
I don't even know how to do a synopsis. I'll just end up doing a full circle, and then I'll be confused. Like, wait a minute, what was I arguing?
So basically, the argument of this article lays out like this. There is, according to this article, there's something called elevated or smart or post-horror. It's sort of the A24 branch of horror.
Yeah, right? Yeah. More slow burny.
Slow burn. It's like The Witch. It's like Hereditary. It's that kind of horror, right?
Yeah.
And I guess I would imagine Get Out would probably fall in that same category.
Yeah, definitely. If all those other ones are.
Right. So then it says that basically the other kind of horror, which is, in this article, it literally gives a shout out to Insidious, Last Key, The First Purge, Truth or Dare, The Nun, and Overlord, is the jump scary sort of.
Which, real quick.
Yes.
She has it as Insidious, The Last Key, tiresome. The First Purge, cheap looking and spineless.
Those are quotes. From reviews.
Yeah, and let's see here, a futile exercise in turd polishing.
Yes.
Why you gotta do Overlord like that?
Well, that's a quote. So, and she's defending it. She's saying Overlord shouldn't have got that bad review. So basically, what's happening is she's saying that these movies got dumped on. Watch this, by critics and pickier fans, right? Although they made a ton of money, right? Yeah. But if you scroll, this is the next line that's the thing that's really puzzling to me. But I got a kick out of these films as much, if not more so, than the elevated fare such as Hereditary or Quiet Place. Now, let's stop for a second. That's fair. People enjoy what they enjoy. Like it's exactly. Everyone enjoys what they enjoy, right? So what then the article goes on to say is that we shouldn't be doing movies like Suspiria that are bloated Oscar bait. We should be doing movies like Truth or Dare or Insidious The Last Key because Anne enjoyed them more. I mean, that is really the argument of this article, is that we should do these more fun horror movies and less lean towards the Oscar baity movies. She tries to clean it up at the end by literally arguing against herself and saying that there should be equal amounts of both, right?
Yeah.
The thing that's really bizarre to me about that argument is that it's kind of saying that, and this is what I sort of explained to Nick, the way to think about this was, let's say that you take this argument and you transpose it over to the comedy, right?
Yeah.
So what it's saying is, if there's a year in comedy where you only have movies like, what's a great comedy? What's a really good, well-crafted comedy? Like Some Like It Hot comes to my mind, but is there a more recent?
Oh, like a recent one?
What's a comedy you'd go to bat for, like really well done? Game Night? Game Night was really good, right?
I always go back to like Ace Ventura. So I go way back.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Whatever. But the point is, instead of doing movies like these movies, like Some Like It Hot or whatever, we should be doing more movies like Paul Blart Mall Cop. I mean, that's literally the argument of this article.
Let me tell you something.
Right?
Let me tell you something. I'm gonna be honest.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest with everyone. All right,
Okay.
listen. I did see that in the theater. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. Yeah, well, it was enjoyable.
Okay, wait. I'll give you another one, okay? So what comedy needs, I'll do this article's argument in a different way, right?
Okay.
What comedy needs is less movies like Network, right? And more movies like Pixels.
Or like that George Carlin guy, knock it off.
Yes.
I need more Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's exactly. Well, Andrew Dice Clay's having sort of a renaissance. But so here's the thing. But the point of this is, the article doesn't even stay consistent in and of itself. So the headline doesn't match the article. And then the concluding paragraph doesn't match the article. So this thing is a hot mess. And the reason it's a hot mess is because everyone's trying to coattail horror. Horror is getting a lot of headlines. Yeah. It's getting more awards. It's getting more notice.
A lot of money.
Jordan Peele is like, there's this whole wing of where Hollywood basically turned to him and was like, make whatever you want for the next 10 years.
Guillermo del Toro won the Oscar. They both won Oscars.
Right, exactly. Guillermo del Toro is like publishing on Twitter his list of unproduced scripts and saying like, so horror's having a moment. And then these people are basically, they're like fleas on dogs. They're coming out and they're trying to coattail on it by writing articles without bothering to make the article consistent or make sense or really say anything at all. And it's frustrating because they're going to vanish 3 years from now when some other genre comes up, right, and gets popular. Yeah. But, someone on the Facebook Live, timeout, because we're streaming this, they had mentioned Mel Brooks, which is that's the name I should have got to.
Yeah.
Right? That's what this article is saying is I need less Blazing Saddles and I need more Pixels. And any article that argues that is wrong. I hate to tell you.
Well, here's the thing.
Right? Or maybe right for that one person, but wrong for society.
But what's weird about is it with it in this article is she mentions, what I think are more of like the powerhouse films, which to me is like the Hereditaries and Quiet Place, like the really heavily crafted films.
Yes.
And then compares them to like The Nun, Truth or Dare, and all those other ones. But then at the end, sort of like I said, Snake Eating itself was like, we need a perfect balance. Like we need some, quote, crappy horror. Yep. And then we need some like polished horror.
She calls it schlock
for whatever reason.
B movies in the article.
Yeah, and but like no one's like no.
Well,
I don't want to balance.
Well, not only that, but you're basically, that's like writing a thing. Like basically the end paragraph of this article is like, you know what we need? We need more inefficiency in government. You got it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's going to happen. It happens every year. Like what she said in the end of the article is, we need horror movies that are fun and bad, and we need horror movies.
The ending of her article, I really like. This is the tail end of it. Let's see here. But it's the tension between these two extremes.
Hold on, back up to give context. So here, because actually her best line is before that. Here, it's horror is a broad church with room for both the subtlest, most cerebral chills and splattery gore fest full of cliche and jump scares. Now designated shorthand for everything snobs despise about the genre. It is the tension between the two extremes of nice and nasty that keeps the genre alive and kicking. Both ends feed the middle. That's true.
I agree.
That's totally true. And it happened in 2018. It happened in 2017. It's going to happen in 2019. It happens every year. I mean, every year, if you were looking for a dumb franchise movie that just gave you that fun itch of, I just want to turn off my brain and watch a movie, well, you got Leatherface. If you wanted an installment in a franchise that didn't do anything for the franchise but take it a little bit backwards, you got Insidious Last Key, right? If you wanted something that could have been good and then the studios fucked it up all to hell, you got Slender Man, right? I mean, you got all of this.
You can go back to like 11 with like the Thing remake.
Totally, right. This happens it just happens. You don't need to argue for it. The only reason this article exists is for the headline. And the headline, the only reason that exists is to get clicks. And the only reason any of that exists is what you're looking at the bottom of the article where they're trying to raise money.
Which they've raised $82,000 out of $1 million. That's not bad. You guys are knocking it out. Good for you. Exactly. Keep journalism alive.
Right, exactly.
But while you're keeping it alive, let's just up the game with these horror articles.
Try to be a little more whatever. But so I wanted to do something. Are we good with this article? Because I wanted to go through movies and just for fun. I wanted to go through the bracket.
And that's the other. And real quick, we did it for the Vogue writer Ann Bilson. If you'd love to come on and discuss horror,
yeah, for sure.
We extend the invitation. We'd love to have you on and talk.
In all honesty, I think she has a really, really good mind for good turns of phrases, and I think, based on like the last paragraph of that article, I think probably her heart's in the right place. But I know she didn't write the headline of that article, so that was labor. But you put your finger on it better than I did. That article literally, when you take the headline, its whole flow, and the last paragraph, basically doesn't say anything.
It just exists to live on.
We just talked about something that doesn't exist, right? So like it's like talking about chocolate boomerangs or something. Like they're not a thing.
What the hell is that?
It's not a thing.
You should make that. You could catch it with your mouth. That'd be so fun.
It's just
I'm
not.
down for that.
It's just not a thing. So,
well,
yeah, I agree. But we should make it the thing. That would be fine.
All right. So you created something for.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So, but I'm gonna have Nick like kind of like we'll go through like what it is, but because we'll put it in the show notes link to what we built. But it made us curious because there's these terrible take articles about how 2018 is clearly a no-brainer worst year of horror in quite a while.
Ever.
Right? Not ever. 95 is the worst year ever. No. But it's their claim is that 2018 was a very, very disappointing, year.
Yeah.
So we baseballed this shit. So what we did was, you know how you have your lineup and you have your leadoff hitter and then it goes to the meat of the order and then like the less hitters, like whatever. And the team that wins is the one who has the most talented players in that stack, right? So we stacked, how many are in the column? Eight each, right?
Yeah.
Probably. So we stacked movies year to year, and then we were trying to figure out what the best movie in each row was, right? So we'll talk through this, and then we'll see if 2017, which is supposed to be the best year of horror in a long time, really comes out on top. Right. So we put as the best movie, and this is like the most acclaimed, most noticed, like whatever for the top line. If you took the gold medals out of the 4 years we did, here's what we got. It Follows 15, The Witch 16, Get Out 17, Hereditary 18. To you, Nick, what's the best movie out of that lineup?
Well, I know it's not It Follows.
Yes.
So I can rule that out.
I agree.
I'm pretty sure, like we discussed, we believe it's a three-way tie. The Witch, Get Out, and Hereditary.
Yes.
If you put a gun to my head, I would be like, find a three-sided dice and just roll.
Yes.
And whatever it lands on, I'll go with that.
I think if I put a gun to your head, you would say Hereditary.
I think I would too.
But I think that it's so close that it's like a photo finish.
I think I would say any of them if you had a gun to my head.
Right. It's a photo finish. They're all tremendous movies,
Yeah.
right? I think if you put a gun to my head, I'd say The Witch. And it's possible that 100 years from now, Get Out will be the one that's got the people are writing about the most. Right?
Yeah.
But they all have arguments. It's a very, very close.
Yeah.
So we're going to call that a tie.
Three-way tie.
Three-way
Each one gets a point.
All right. Next rank, 15 Bone Tomahawk, 16 Train to Busan, 17 It, 18 A Quiet Place. What's the best movie out of that? It.
I don't even need this.
So 2017 is we got a three-way tie and one for 2017. So right now it's winning, which means
They're correct.
Those article writers are
Right now, they are 100% correct.
Let's keep going. 15 Ex Machina, 16 Green Room. Wait, I'm sorry. 16 Green Room, 17 Split, 18 Mandy. What's the best movie out of those?
Before I had seen Green Room, I would have told you Split without a doubt.
Yes.
After seeing Green Room, there's no question. It's Green Room 100% of the way.
I agree. It's Green Room. I think Split is a tremendous movie, and I think Mandy and Ex Machina are also tremendous movies.
Yeah.
Ex Machina is probably the least horror.
Yeah. It's got that. It's way sci-fi-er, and it's totally different in its own right.
Yeah, but I think Green Room is pretty, at least for us, it's the best movie out of that.
And it was so refreshing.
So that it's totally refreshing, and on top of that, like it was kind of Hitchcockian, which is why I put it in that list, because I feel like all of those are either like Kubrickian or Hitchcockian, right? So,
yeah.
So now we got one for 16. Now the next row is Spring, which I love, 15. Eyes of My Mother, 16. Raw, 17. Terrified, 18.
I don't even have to say it. You know what it is.
I know what it is.
Terrified.
Right. Terrified is the best movie out of those two. And if anyone's watching on the live, you can comment. We'll backtrack and look at those.
Oh, yeah. We got some votes here.
Fantastic. So on the next row, we've got Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, 15. The Wailing, 16. It Comes at Night, 17. Annihilation, 18. What's the best movie in that row?
That one. So if I had to choose, I haven't seen The Wailing, but from everything that we've talked about, I would go with that one. I would actually probably go with A Girl Walks Home Alone, just from the creativity of it. I would probably go with Girl Walks Home.
I would choose between those two.
Yeah,
but I would probably give it to The Wailing. But A Girl Walks Home Alone is hard for me to pick against. Yeah. So it's one of those two. But let's give it to The Wailing just for this. Okay. Yeah. So that's. Okay, so then let's keep going. On the next row, we've only got 3 more rows. So on the next row, we've got We Are Still Here, 15, Autopsy of Jane Doe, 16, Thelma, 17, The Ritual, 18.
I'm going with The Ritual.
That's
on that one.
That's that, and I think honestly this could be a 3-way tie. The only one I don't think really deserves a vote is Thelma, but I would go with We Are Still Here in 15. But let's say that it's a tie between 15 and 18.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So Goodnight Mommy, 15. The Invitation, 16. Super Dark Time, 17. Pie Wacket, 18.
I go with Goodnight Mommy.
Goodnight Mommy.
Even though when I first watched it, I was like, man, that trailer really duped me. After I sat with it for a while, I was like, all right, yeah, I see what's going on.
And I would go with The Invitation out of those 4. And then last row, we've got Last Shift, 15, Don't Breathe, 16, Mother, 17, Halloween, 18. It's weird that I put Halloween there, but so be it.
Yeah, well, I would go with. I honestly, I loved Mother.
Yes,
but I don't think anything made me hold my breath as much as Don't Breathe, especially during that first interaction in the house.
Totally,
I'd probably go with that. Probably over Halloween. Even though Halloween was fun because we saw it in a pretty nice sized theater with a bunch of people. Yep. Don't Breathe made me physically react.
Yep.
So I'd go with Don't Breathe.
I would go with Last Shift because it's one of the few recent movies that actually literally rattled me. But I would put Halloween right behind it personally. Yeah. All right, so taking what we just did, right? Here's the score for year in terms of which had best movies in it. 2018 had 2 out of 8. 2017 had 2 out of 8. 2015 had 2 out of 8. And 2016 had 4 out of 8.
Yeah.
Right? So these articles all swarming out of nowhere saying that 2018 is a big disappointment because of how good 2017 was is a little confusing to me as a horror fan. Because I feel like it's pretty much since 2015 to now, it's pretty much been a block of horror movies going through a really, really good time that I'm excited about as a horror fan.
Yeah.
That I'd give a slight edge to 2016. So how come during 2017 these people didn't come out with articles saying, "Wow, this year's a real disappointment"?
Yeah, what a wash.
Right, compared
Can we re-roll?
compared to 2016, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the point of this exercise is that a lot of this is subjective, and that's the point, right? If you're gonna write an article that's a take article like these people are doing, here's my point. This is my main central point about why I did this. If you're gonna make an article like that, you can't build it on individual movies only, right? And I'll tell you why. Besides the exercise we just did, if you had written a terrible take article in, I think it would have been 83. I'll look it up because I'm trying to concentrate on the podcast. So forgive me if I get the year wrong. But whatever year The Thing came out, right? If you had written a terrible take article in the first week of December of 83, you would have been like, what a bad, disappointing year for horror. We got turkeys like The Thing.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, you would have realized that The Thing is one of the greatest horror movies ever made, right? So if you base your argument solely on where you're ranking movies, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're already in trouble, right? So like you need to sit with movies and rewatch them later and treat horror. One of the reasons that I think these people discriminate against horror is one of the tells in their articles is that they think you can immediately rank it and rack it and be done with it and walk away. Yeah. They would never do that with, like, I see these critics with these movies by people who make really, really complicated movies like Wes Anderson or Paul Thomas Anderson or whatever. And they are like, you know what? I literally have read this in reviews. I watched The Master and I can't wait to rewatch it a couple more times and really like get into it and figure out all the like whatever. But fucking horror, I can just watch it and tell you what it is, and that's where it'll sit for the rest of the time. Like this, I figured Halloween out. I'm done.
Yeah.
Because they're discriminating against the genre. They don't take it seriously.
Unless you write about how you can't wait to watch Annihilation again, but then don't mention your worst of 2018 list. Or why 2018 was such a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's totally right.
It's just mind-boggling. Well, and that's the thing is we wanted to take on this Vogue article first because it's pretty clear cut that it doesn't make any sense. But the second one was just it was just kind of trickier because it was like because at the end it was like, well, yeah, I agree with your message. Let's have both on each end and just fill the whole spectrum with great horror.
Right.
But like, why you got to put that stank on it?
Right.
Like, what did the year do to you?
Right. Right. Totally. And also, like I said, I don't think that person, that very same person who wrote that for The Guardian, I don't think that she would have done that about movies like Phantom Thread and like those things. Right. I literally think that article can only exist for a couple subgenres they think it's safe to do that kind of writing about.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like the giveaway. There's actually the most aggravating out of both articles, the most aggravating moment to me, I think it was in the Vogue article, was where the writer said, you know, I saw Don't Breathe and The Witch and whatever in 2016, and they gave me a couple thrills.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I'm glad that 6 hours of cinema that these people worked really hard on, like whatever, gave you a couple thrills, and you put it as a throwaway line in your article or whatever. But no one writes, Alfred Hitchcock, man, that guy made me jump once when I saw a bird once, but other than that, like fuck him. They don't think that way. They only think that way about horror.
Well, the thing I thought was interesting with the Vogue 2018, like where's the golden age of horror article was all the negative stuff that he said about the films that he mentioned in that article were nowhere to be found, like when he was talking to Toni Collette. Like he didn't mention to her that it wasn't that great because it wasn't fun. Totally. He didn't mention anything about the terror, what he liked about the terror, or what he liked about
right when he visits the Netflix space to talk to them about the next Stranger Things. He's not telling them that Netflix is the enemy of horror.
Yeah, and he's not, but he's not putting that in his reviews for those films at that time.
Right.
And I get it. I would like to get screeners, but like, don't not say it in your initial review when everyone's going to read it and decide if they're going to see it, and then at the end of the year, tell us what you really think.
Yep.
Say it with your chest.
Yep. Totally.
Like, let us know. Like, it just felt weird, and I'm sure there's a rhyme or reason behind why you did it, but it's there.
Yeah, you saw the rhyme or reason. They're raising money over there.
Yeah,
you saw the rhyme or reason.
I think I know a few.
So
reasons.
that's enough of the terrible takes, but this is kind of a preamble episode to a little more ambitious thing that we would like to do in the future, because as people who do a horror themed podcast and run, horror themed communities online and etc., one of the things that you come up against time and time again is everyone's subjective measurement for what's good in horror.
Yeah.
So a lot of people only judge it by whether it's scary, or other people only judge it by whether it really impacts them, right?
Yeah.
Like, I personally judge it sometimes by how memorable it is to me, right?
Yeah.
And some people judge it by like adding up the cinematic building blocks of it, right?
Yeah.
So I have a lot of friends who judge it by, they take the cinematography plus the score plus the performances, and they
try to
piece it together. So there's a lot of subjective ways to judge this, but we want to do a couple episodes and definitely engage with the people who follow on, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., and then also the people in the communities and the people who listen to the podcast. We'd like to start to gather like what does make a horror movie either good or bad to you, because I really want to get a feel for, as we turn into 2019, what people are using to judge the movies. Because I know that our community is not judging the movies the way these people are.
Yeah, they're people. They're writing articles. No one's a moron.
Right,
They're just writing articles. It's all personal.
That's fair. That's fair. So right, exactly. So that, I'm really curious to see what those are, because that can't be the standard. Like, what's in those articles just can't be the standard.
No, there's got to. And honestly, here's the thing: if it's an article that's crunch for time, just put that in the byline. Just be like, crunch for time.
Right.
Or here's what I would really like. So like the Vogue guy, he wrote a big article about why he loves horror.
Yes.
And maybe he has this somewhere. Like, we just gotta search a little harder or something like that.
Sure.
But I would like to know like how are they critiquing him, the way they're critiquing, because we know that he likes Nightmare on Elm Street and he likes all this other stuff.
Absolutely.
So I'd be curious to see like what marks do they use?
Yes.
For the films, and honestly, if I think that would help clarify a lot. And
agreed.
If I see some of this stuff, it looks like bullshit, I know. All right, then I'm just not gonna false alarm. I'm not even gonna read the article. But
totally
I don't
agree.
know. That's just maybe it's too much.
No, but I agree. I think that's important. So, thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it. We want to hear what you have to say about how you judge horror movies.
Yes.
Whether you're judging it by the scare factor, the quality factor, whether it's in franchises, but whether you're judging it by
whether you thought 2018 sucked.
You enjoy the villains, however you're judging it, we want to know. So let us know on the Facebook page. That's the best way to reach us.
Subscribe to the show. Stay scary. Watch a bunch of horror films. That simple.
That's right.
And hopefully 2019 is not as bad as 2018 apparently was. I'm going to put a little sting on that. All right. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.